I'm Sarah Giles here talking with Johnell DeWitt and Cesar Lador about a project they are working on together for the Kids Comics Studio Anthology, written by Johnell with Cesar as the artist on a project called Junk Wars. So, Johnell, why don't you get started by telling us how you came up with the idea for this particular comic?
Oh, okay. I was listening to NPR and there was a story about space junk that these groups are trying to do something about, like trying to recover it or do something about it. And I remembered that my kids, they always get in this debate. My son really loves space. He loves the whole colonizing idea. And my daughter, she's like, why don't we take care of the earth before we worry about space? And so in my mind, I made the connection between the pollution in our ocean and then the pollution in our atmosphere. And so I started to try to formulate an idea of how to tie those two together.
And how did you choose Cesar to be the one to work on your script?
So Jeff had a list of artists who were willing to work with writers. And so I went, looked at the portfolio, looked to see, who kind of had a style that I thought would work, if they were comfortable with water, these types of things. And I also had my husband sit down and look, and I said, which ones do you like? And he's like, oh, I like Cesar's. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I do too. So I was getting some feedback as well.
What spoke to you about Johnell's script and made you want to work on this project?
So I guess quite quickly we realized that we wanted to talk about a story that would have a purpose more than just telling a story, but really with a message. We started to talk, and then I don't know. I talked about my background of being an environmental engineer, and I guess that's where we connected.
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. So, did Johnell know that when she chose your art, did she know that you happened to be an environmental engineer by trade? Or is that just a huge coincidence?
Huge coincidence.
Oh my gosh, awesome. Okay.
There were multiple stories that we kind of exchange about and try to get to a point where both of us would be, we're satisfied. So it was an interesting experience. There was not, there was not one story that we were working on, but like more like two in parallel. And that we, Journal was like polishing further, and I was like, I'm not sure about this, or what about that? And then, we kind of, went ahead and ended up with the current script that we both liked and were kind of keen to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. So, really, a true collaboration. It really wasn't just one person did the writing and one person did the art. It sounds like it was kind of a team effort from conception all the way through to the end, where you were both working together on the idea.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Cesar had a lot of good input into the script as well. And
Oh,
then
that's great.
we exchanged ideas too. He's a brilliant artist.
Comic making is quite time consuming. So for me, being ready to commit, with another person, I wanted the project to be the right one. I just wanted to make sure that I was believing in, the story and before committing to it.
And is this your first anthology that you've worked on, each of you?
Yes, for me.
No, I did. I did. The name was Draw the Line: 100 Political Actions that you can take on a daily basis, kind of. And that was totally different than the anthology project we were working on for Jana. There was the name of the anthology, and then each of us had a theme, but there was nothing else. Basically, there was a template.
Mm-hmm.
We never met, for example. We never Zoomed.
Yeah.
Because we were like 100, maybe more than 100 artists working together on this anthology, and so it was like just super simple process, not
Yeah.
like multiple weekly meetings.
Right. You just send in
So
your art and they fold into a book and then it's done.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
And it was crowdfunded as well, and we achieved the goal, and then a publisher in New York actually bought the project, and now it's Street Noise Books, I think. the name is, and they're still selling it, I think, nowadays.
So Cesar, this being your second anthology, what piece of advice would you give to someone who is going to do an anthology project?
You have to make sure that you've got some time aside to commit to the project. You have to be ready to, to give some time and volunteer, and but it's all learning. It's awesome. It's, I think, whether it's, one end of the spectrum or the other, it's all like learning and meeting other humans that have the same passion for the comics, and I think that's, what you have to keep in mind. It's supposed to be fun, and yeah. Yeah, it is definitely a commitment. It's not only about, just preparing your comic and sending it to the team, but yeah, be ready to be involved and give some time to the project.
All right. How about you, Johnell? What piece of advice, now that you've got almost a whole anthology under your belt, what piece of advice would you give someone who is venturing to participate in an anthology?
Wow. I would say be flexible. It's important to be flexible. You really have to kind of roll with the punches because you're working with a lot of different people and they've got different timelines, and different things come up for all these different people, and you're trying to merge something together with all these disparate lives going on. Yeah, so that would be my first bit of advice. And then I would say, rely on each other, because there's a beautiful skill set that comes from everybody's collective experiences.
And if I can just bounce back on your first point, Johnell, I loved the 4-panel comic that you've made for as part of this project, which was talking. I know how you're looking at it, but for me, the fact that you are raising all these different perspectives that each of us has on the project, and we are all different humans, individuals with different backgrounds, and so it's not always easy. You can see during our meetings, there are tensions, there are, times where people are laughing, times where people are a bit tense. So I love the fact that you've put that on a comic, saying that, hey guys, we have to remain, open-minded and flexible and gentle with each other, because yeah, it's really important if you want to succeed.
Absolutely.
So the last question that I had in mind to ask you two is, what has been your favorite part about being part of this anthology for Kids Comics Studio? Johnell.
Oh, wow. Well, for me, I think working with illustrators has been one of the highlights, because I've not done that before. That's been really fun to be able to, because when I write, I see pictures in my head. That's just how I write. I visualize the story as I'm writing it. But I don't have the skills, in my opinion, to be able to translate what's in my head onto paper. So it's been absolutely a treat to see what Cesar has taken, and I'm working with another illustrator on a different story too, to see what Cesar has taken and what Maggie has taken and done with the script, in interpreting the words into something that's just absolutely magical. And then I would say just sort of dusting off some of my old marketing experiences, to be able to try to put things together. And it's been good brain food for me, like a puzzle, putting all these puzzles together, which I enjoy. So that was the other part, was just being able to kind of get back into that a little bit.
What about you, Cesar?
I think to me, it's meeting all of these people within Kids Comic Studio and building relationships at the end of the day. Because, for me, I'm making comic all day long, every day. And it's such a lonely activity. It can be really draining. You're really isolated. So to me, being part of the community and building these relationships and meeting these people and having the feeling that, you belong to this group to me, is really priceless.
Well, thank you both for answering our questions today, and we really look forward to seeing the comic Junk Wars in the Kids Comic Studio anthology coming out next spring. Can't wait to see it.
Let's go.
Yeah. Let's go.